Thank you, Raptor Saint. Actually, I haven't even checked that it was with no sound, so I appreciate that. And just double check, so you should be back now, back to normal. Yeah, so we're good to go. As Robertson, he's good to go for a potential frame opener here. As I was trying to get the sound, he has scored some good points here. So he's got 53 on the board now. Of course, a lot of those points have came from Elliot's Slessor mistakes. But now Robertson has his chance to cement the first frame into his favour and make sure he gets off to a really good start for him. As you can see, he has a little look on the scoreboard there. So 39 is advantage for him. Still 5 reds into play, looking for Robertson to make that 4, as he does. So now 40 points ahead with 4 reds in play. So that makes it 59 points on the table with 40 points advantage. So you will need a colour, a red, and one more colour to make sure that he is guaranteed to win the first frame, barring snookers, of course. There we can see Robertson there having a look there. So he didn't really end up on the blue the way he would have liked. So he has to attempt the pink. Pots the pink. Doesn't land on a red though. So looks like it will be the end of a break. 40 here. By far the highest break of the two players in the opening frame. As I say, 4 reds are still on the table. So 59 points are available. And Robertson has an advantage of 46 points, so he needs a red and a colour, and then Slessor will need snookers. But for now though, it's the end of a break, but it's a really good the end of a break because Robertson has found good safety there. It is the end of a break, and now Slessor has to potentially come away with something. But I think the number one priority for Slessor will be to trying to develop those balls into the area, because there's no point for him to be having them on the cushion. And that's exactly what he's done. One of the reds has gone way higher into the table than he would have liked, but in the end ends up safe for Slessor. So now Robertson, well, of course he has got an opportunity here to go for a little bit of a cut into the right corner pocket. As he has another look at the scoreboard. He can't afford to miss it because there's still 2 reds that are nowhere near the open play. But of course, if he can avoid doing that, he would very much like it. Another key point here, I'm not too sure how much Slessor would need the black, but the black is tight onto the cushion. So we'll have to wait and see if Slessor decides to bring that one into play, or is he going to try and navigate without it up until the last ball of the frame. For now though, Robertson just decides to roll up onto the red, put it onto the cushion, not doing anything silly there. And now Slessor's chance to produce anything here. I think he will, yeah, so I think he'll just screw really hard into this ball and then try to develop the other one. A little risky that, because you're never quite sure whether the balls are going to end up, but he's done it really well, apart from the fact that one of them has ended up all over the pocket. I mean, I was going to say he's done the cue ball position well, but he hasn't really, because it's not tied on the cushion, and Robertson now has a chance to put this frame to bed here. The frame that took a while, I mean, it's almost been 40 minutes now, and Robertson does get a ball that is not quite frame ball. The cue ball is heading right up to the corner. Robertson gets a little bit lucky with it, but doesn't land on the colour. So there we go. I'm not sure why that break thing was saying break ended still. So we're back on terms now. As Robertson just decides to roll for the green there. No messing around, no taking any silly chances. And after getting a lot of points from Slessor, from snookers, earlier in this frame, he just needs about 4 to 5 more to make sure that Slessor will need snookers to just stay in this opening frame. Yes, he has to get out of this situation now, and really he has to try and do it first time, because if he doesn't, he can only tie, and he has missed this red. So Robertson now gets 4 points on the board, so he leads now by 51 points with 51 on the table. So any red will surely put an end to this frame, as Robertson has a little check on the scoreboard there. Not too sure if he's unhappy with something, or is there a little update for the scoreboard coming? No, I think he's just trying to calculate how many points are there. So just needs one more point there, and of course, because he can still tie Elliot Slessor. I think that's what the referee and Neil Robertson were checking. Is Slessor going to be put back for that shot, because are there still enough points for him to tie? And the referee and Robertson both come to a conclusion that there are, so Slessor will be put back. And we'll have one more chance to hit this red as he goes the other side now and hits it this time. So a potential chance there for Robertson to either have a cut to the middle pocket or try to go for a double. Either way, if the ball does end up in the pocket, that will do. As Robertson decides to go for the middle pocket option, misses it by a fraction, but leaves the cue ball tight on the cushion. So a good shot there from the Aussie, as he's got one more red now onto the cushion, the red that Slessor will try and develop straight away. As you can see, his last pot time has been 24 minutes, so in the first part of the frame, there had a lot happening ever since. Frame time is of course 34 minutes, of course, and it hasn't ended just yet, with Robertson needing one more point on the board to get over the line, and Slessor needing all of the balls on the table to only tie and force a black ball decider, which I think it won't really happen given the position that Robertson is in and the position of the balls. As Robertson decides to go for a little safety once more. So he thought about going for a pot, but in the end I'm pretty sure he gone for a safety there. So this frame is ending the way it started, and it's a safety battle once more between the two players. Slessor here made the mess of that to an extent. Yeah, you can see he catches the pink, and that should be a frame over. Slessor making way too many mistakes there. And now Robertson has a chance to put an end to this frame. Well, he sort of does, because he pots the red and then he puts the white with it. So in the end, the frame, a really scrappy frame I would say, goes to Neil Robertson. Neither player has really shown anything apart from making a lot of errors, and Robertson, I think, will be pleased to come out on top in that particular frame, especially after not playing anywhere near the level that he can. And it's now Neil Robertson leading by 1 frame to 0. I think the early stage of this frame has to tell you that this frame will be decided in the safety battles, and once again, as I said, the player that makes less amount of errors will dominate in my eyes. Let's see if that's going to be the case. It was very much the case in the opening frame, as Robertson was the man that had really any chance of a decent break there, and making Elliot pay the price in the end. So with Robertson coming into this match as the favourite, he would of course be a little bit more favoured there, as we can see the odds for Robertson winning right now are 122. For Slessor, they're approaching 4.5 there. So Robertson here, very much the man that is the favourite here. As you can see, we had 26 votes who's going to win this match. Robertson 96%, Slessor 4%. I mean, I will be in the 4% before this match, I will say that. Of course, after what I've seen in the opening frame, it's not looking that good, but with the way that Robertson has been playing against Carter and the way Slessor has been playing against Williams and Higgins, I would have put him in as a bit of a favourite, but of course I wouldn't do that. He's losing and he's had a bit of a stinker of the first frame. But still, Lots is about to change. As remember Slessor as well, he has done some great work in this tournament. He's beaten the world. No, sorry, apologies. That was Chris Wakeling, wasn't it? It wasn't Elliot Slessor. I was going to say he beat Zhao Xingtong, but that was Wakeling, so that's for the other match. But nevertheless, Slessor beating the players like Higgins, Williams, Ben Mertens, Stuart Bingham. Most of those have been the matches in the decider, so we could very much see this match go the distance. The question is Robertson going to be on board with that, or is he going to try and force his own way and his own style of play and try to put Slessor on the back foot and not allow him to have pretty much any of the game time in this match? As we are ready to get the second frame on the way here after the first one took some time to finish. It will be Elliot Slessor now to break for the second frame, and we're ready to get the second frame underway. Needs a good break off Elliot Slessor, as you'll be looking for the first pot for quite a while now. The cue ball has got a good trajectory. In the end, can't quite cover the red that has gone away from the bunch. Has got a lot of distance between that red and the pocket though, so it will be a tough shot for Robertson to attempt. But Slessor there once again not brilliant off the break off. And even though it is a slight chance, it's still a chance for Robertson as he has a good look there. I'm pretty sure the cover for Robertson here will be the fact that he can try and play for the black. And then if he does miss that shot, as long as he doesn't leave it in Joseph's pocket, he should be alright here. Missed it by a long way though, but as I say, he just lands on the black cushion. In the end, doing everything right. The red ball that Robertson has missed has landed near the green pocket. Let's see if Slessor will be trying to exploit it, as he has got a little bit of distance between the balls. But the cue ball is not on the cushion, so he has got control of it. He's gone for it, and he's missed it. Catches the yellow on the way back. And yeah, Robertson will have a chance to try and pot the same red. So once again, Slessor, some would say being a little bit unlucky, but I would say you should be making sure that that cue ball goes nowhere near the yellow. And if you can't guarantee that, don't attempt the pot. Robertson here comes with the shot with the rest and overcuts it by some distance. So I did expect Robertson to get that one in. He didn't. Slessor hasn't got a chance here, so it will be just another safety. But once more, Slessor just unable to pounce on those mistakes, and Robertson, I think he's getting a little bit more of luck, but also able to exploit the chances that Slessor presents ahead of him. As here, Slessor plays a good shot. Robertson's time to respond with a potentially good shot of his. Yeah, you can see he's not too confident to try and go for an old cut with having the cue ball back into the bulk area. I don't think he's going to try that. Although we have seen him try and do that before. No, he goes for the split of the bunch. And in the end, it's a really good split of the bunch because the reds that have troubled haven't quite gone to the middle pocket. So Slessor can't really attempt any of them. But now the position is a lot more open here for Robertson, as I feel like he will be getting his momentum here. I think that's the shot of confidence. It feels like he can be the player that, well, sort of can thrive off those chances missed from Slessor. And he's, of course, because there's a lot more quality and has got a lot more experience in those stages of the tournaments. Remember, it is a semi-final of one of the most prestigious tournaments if you talk about the money. I mean, both of those players have already received £100,000, which could raise to £250,000 should either of them reach the final. And the winner will receive a staggering £500,000 worth of money. So let's see which one of those two will be in the final first, and then of course if any of those two can win the final, which will be of course on Sunday. But for now, as we can see, Robertson trying to go for an aggressive attempt there, so trying to put Slessor once more in a little bit of trouble. Slessor acknowledging that shot. with a little tap on the table from the cue. Now Slessor's turn to try and do something about it. Yeah, and once again, has he got enough power in that cue ball? I don't think he has, but in the end, finishes, I'd say, just all right there, but Robertson will have a clear path to potentially have a long pot opportunity. But there you can see, I think that the problem with that long pot is, are you going to have sort of enough vision there to see the black and try to pot it into the pocket? I think that's what you'll be thinking about. I think he will attempt it. Whether he'll pot it or not is another question. Let's see though. He's got a good angle here, so it's not quite straight. Yeah, so that ball's always going to disappear, in my view, as he landed on the black here. So the cue ball is a little bit too close for comfort onto the cushion. Let's see, once again, a beautiful cue ball control there. And the red went right into the pocket. No wobbling in the jaws, and the black is in as well. So Robertson there with an early chance in this second frame to potentially have a good break here and give himself a good chance to get a 2-0 lead. Slessor so far unable to respond with any kind of good performance. Robertson is now a little bit of spoil for choice, but the problem he's got now is he's going to have to bridge over the couple of reds if he's going to go for a right corner shot, and that makes it a little bit harder to get on the black because the black can only be played into the right corner pocket, and the angle to land on the black has to be perfect as the black is still very much surrounded by the couple of reds. You can see there Robertson taking his time, almost a minute on this shot, as he does decide to bridge over the reds. The red is in. How's his black ball positioning? Pretty good, I'd say. So I'd say it's probably the best he could have done in that position. And then now he can play for one of the reds into the middle pocket. Give himself a chance at it. So once again, taking his time here, Robertson. So this match, I think, will be quite slow-paced because of both players understanding that they can't really be taking too little time, have to take a sort of sensible approach and a conservative approach in this match, and too much is at stake for them to be rushing things around. So Robertson here gets in around the black spot, and once again he'll have to face the trouble of one of the reds blocking the left side of the pocket for the black to go into, but I think in a couple of shots he'll try to erase that issue and make the black available to go both sides. For now though, he decides to go for a different red, and he'll probably play for either blue or yellow as they're quite close to each other. Yep, decides I think to go for the blue there. Ends up on a nice angle, and we'll have quite a lot of choice now. So after having 3-4 difficult shots and taking the time on each of them, now hopefully we should be a little bit of a momentum builder and some good breaks there from Robertson, which is already shown at some stages of this tournament, but he'll have to do it again here at the semi-final. Once again though, he's taking his time here, so he's not quite sure which ball to land on. He's taking, a lot of time for him to score those 17, potentially 22 points here, so we would like this match to be speeding up a little bit, as Robertson in the end does go for an option which you would have thought he would have gone anyway, but he obviously tried to exploit something which potentially wasn't there, or mitigate any risks or unseen circumstances that we can't see from here. 22 on a break here, and you'll still have, well, all of the reds are available apart from the two that are on the left cushion, but the problem is they're a little bit bunched up together, and individually getting on each of them is going to be a little bit of an issue for Neil. Has got a nice straightforward one. Once again, has to be careful with his positioning on the black, and needs to make sure that he gets enough to see the black So that time, marginal, but he's alright there, as you can see. Double checks it, and yeah, he's fine with that time. But easy though, because he keeps checking that black ball, and has he just not done enough there, as he has a look at the pink potentially. Will have to go for a conservative option. Once again, has another look at the black. And yeah, I think he'll have to go for the pink there, as he's gone down to hit that shot 4 times now, and he's bailed out of it each of those times. So goes for the pink, and the pink is not in. So that hesitation for Robertson could prove to be massive in this frame. As we can see, the break ends for Robertson. He'll be absolutely fuming with himself. No questions there. Easy roll onto the black. Not quite sure if he's got enough on it. Goes for the pink, that is a lot harder than the black, and goes with a lot of power, and the ball bounces out of the pocket. And it's now a chance for Elliot Slessor to get himself back in the frame and back in this match here, as that's the thing that he will be looking to do. Of course, as I say, the reds are quite nicely placed for Slessor for a break. The colours, as I say, is a little bit of a problem. Once again, the black will now be available to go into the both pockets, as Slessor does straight away what Robertson hasn't been able to do in his sequence of shots. He will now free the right corner pocket, the left corner pocket I should say, for black to be available into both corner pockets now. Needs to land on the blue with the right angle here though, and he's done exactly that. So good stuff here from Slessor, as he's only 16 points behind now, looking to make that 11. And very much is the favourite for this frame now, after Robertson missing something that, you know, you didn't expect him to at that time. But Slessor once more goes a little bit too hard on that positional shot from the blue onto the red. And now has a little bit of a mountain to climb. Does it well though. Doesn't end up on the blue this time, so he will go for one of the bold colours. It's 13 points is scored for him. Yeah, been a bit scrappy this from both players. Neither have been able to get any sort of momentum and just get it into, you know, fast-paced rhythm. You know, good breaks, aggressive style of play. Both have been conservative, both have made mistakes, and both have been struggling to have any good sections here in terms of potting the balls consecutively. But this time, Slessor deals with the problem nicely, as he's on the red here. I'm pretty sure those two not blocking each other's way, so next 2 shots should see Elliot Slessor ahead in this frame, as he has to go for the one closer to the cushion, and in the end he does miss it, so he won't go ahead in this frame, as this Scrappy frame doesn't get any better for either player, as Slessor misses a chance that he should never have been onto, to be honest with you, as you can see. So the 2 red balls were missing each other, and yeah, you can see Slessor there. It was a little bit of a harder shot than he should have had, but it was himself that got into that situation anyway. Robertson here with a decent pot, but not landing on any of the colours in the way that he would have liked. So 24 plays 17 here, and he'll probably try and go for the blue here. Not the hardest of shots, but with the cue ball tied on the cushion, it'll be complicated to get anywhere on the red, and he has got it. And the red was really close to the pocket and was really close to falling in the pocket alongside the blue. Didn't in the end, and stays over the pocket. So for Robertson, I don't think it's the first time I'm saying it, but it should be a breeze here at the second frame, as he is now 37 points, playing 17, so 20 points ahead already. I think if he will need 4 more reds here to get himself more than 43 points ahead, but 3 of those 4 reds are in really good position, and of course black being freed up nicely. I think each of those reds will be played with the black. As you can see here, he goes for one that is a little bit more remote from the bunch. Leaves himself with a nice angle on the black, so potentially he will He's got a chance here to play for the red that is resting on the cushion currently and potentially bring it back into play. Thinks against that though, so he decides to get those balls out of the way that are in open play. I think it's the right thing to do, to be honest with you, because with the way this match has gone, the more points you can get on the board before you have to play any of the risky shots, the better. Especially if you are Neil Robertson. Elliot Slessor will be the one, you know, behind and has to find and has to go for those 50-50 chances that you wouldn't usually have to go for, but because you're behind, you kind of have nothing to lose at that point. And Robertson looking to make this a 2-0 lead here. Commanding lead, of course, especially if you consider that Robertson has been the favourite throughout this tournament in the matches against the players like Slessor. As he gets another black here, so 36 points ahead here for Robertson. Still 59 on the table. Robertson will be looking to make that 51 just one shot later. Ooh, played that with power and had to use all of the pocket there in the middle pocket. So a little bit risky once again, but at that time I don't think he was leaving anything because he was playing from a red onto the black. And now just rolls onto that red, onto the cushion. So a frame ball here from Neil Robertson as he's 44 points ahead. With 51 remaining, we'll be looking to make that 45 points ahead with 43 on the table. And he makes it. The ball wobbled a little bit, but in the end, Robertson gets over the line here, barring snookers. And yeah, Scrappy first frame is turned into a little bit of a better second frame, as Robertson gets a black as well. So 3 snookers here required for Elliot. I don't think he'll come back to the table. And if he will, I think he'll just be trying to disrupt the rhythm of Robertson, which he kind of found recently. And as you can see, so is he coming back to the table? I think he is. Yeah, so you'll try and get a snooker potentially, and if he can't, just get himself into the match. So an early attempt there doesn't succeed, and Robertson has another chance to potentially cut this red into the left corner pocket. And you can surely say that Slessor will not be coming to the table should Robertson do that. So he thinks against it and will go just for a nice little safety play. So Robertson been really calm here, not trying to finish the frame early, which I think is always a nice thing to see from the players, especially if you're a fan of one of those players. I haven't actually said, have I got a horse in the race? I don't really have a horse in the race. I like both players. I think Slessor is a little bit more underrated than Robertson, obviously. One being a world champion and another not really winning any ranking tournaments that I can think of. Maybe he's won 1 or 2 there. But tries to land a snooker there on Robertson, and that ball has run just a little bit too much distance. So unable to do at that particular time of asking. Robertson once more is leading by 52 points gap, and with 43 on the table, Slessor will need 3 snookers to get himself back on terms. Robertson here, as he can afford it, brings the cue ball back into the black cushion, and he tries to go for a little wild shot into the green pocket, misses it, not by much though, and doesn't give anything easy to Slessor. A really good pot though from Elliot Slessor, as he needs the cue ball to land onto the black. So he has decided to go for trying to get the snookers on the last red, which is the logical thing to do because you have the opportunity of a free ball, which could give you an extra 8 points potentially. But for now, he needs to pot the black, and yeah, you can see he ended up straight on the black, so not entirely the thing you would have liked to see. As he does a little screw back, and you can see the red through that gap between the brown and the pink. So now is the time for him to get snookers. But I think Robertson will be pretty relaxed about it, as the form that Slessor has shown so far, I don't think he'll be able to get 3 snookers away from the player like Neil Robertson, especially. But Robertson sort of finding his pace, I would say. He's still nowhere near his best, but He's playing better in the second frame than he has in the first one. Slessor lands a first snooker here, but it should be really straightforward. One cushion escape off the side cushion there from Robertson. As you can see, get down to it right away, no messing around, no time wasting at all. It's hit right on the head, so Slessor has to try it again. This match is dragging down a little bit already. We only had, well, basically 2 frames, and so far it's been more than an hour of playing time, so not the perfect start for either player, because I think both of them would like, you know, to get in the rhythm, to be dominating, to be on the front foot, to be playing attacking style. As you can see there, so a much better shot from Elliot Slessor as he gets the ball tight onto the area. As it's a shame there, because that is a perfect snooker shot played by Elliot Slessor. A reminder, because he is so far back, he cannot force Robertson to play this shot once again. So he has to do it individually. But the first one out of 3, I mean, I can't really see Robertson getting out of this one. We'll have to wait and see, but have a look at this one. A brilliant sort of backspin judged there. He did get a little lucky there with the kiss from the pink, but it would have been a difficult snooker nonetheless for Robertson. Yeah, he's taking his time. I'm not sure how he can get to it. I think what he will try, and what I would have tried, is probably 2 cushion escape if he can see enough of the left side of the table. So go quite close, go quite close to the left corner pocket, which is what he's shown that he can do. I think the risk of going to the right one is you risk of clipping the yellow. So it would be a little bit of waste if you judge the trajectory perfect and still give away the points to your opponent. But for now, Robertson has to find the trajectory and the racing line sort of that he will be playing it with. Taking his time on the shot once more. I think the average shot time for Neil Robertson won't be below 30 seconds. If you bear in mind how many sort of shot times more than a minute he has taken already in the opening 2 frames. As once more, even though he is 3 snookers ahead, he doesn't want to be giving away any cheap points here in the semi-final. Now he has finally found a trajectory here. I'm not too sure yet. So he's going for a 2 cushion escape next to the left corner pocket. And he catches the red. I thought he was gonna catch the yellow, but he has managed to catch the red there. So in the end, a really good escape there from Robertson. Not sure if he snookered Slessor back there, but as we have a look here, once more, it was really close to the yellow, but only just missed it and got the red full ball there. He hasn't snookered Slessor, and in the end, Slessor producing decent shot. It's nowhere near as hard as the previous one, but it's still decent, and he still puts a little bit more pressure on Robertson. It now will be Neil's turn to try and do something about it. Once again, taking his time, so I do have to say the first 2 frames have been dragging, especially in comparison to the sort of, you know, even the Carter match with Robertson had a lot of drama, had a lot of rhythm, had a lot of mistakes, but had a lot of breaks and had a lot of pace to it. I'm not even going to mention the Slessor-Williams match, because that one has certainly had a lot of pace on it. But this match has been a little bit of a drag so far, and we'll be looking, that's about to change. For now though, Slessor has found Robertson finding escape once again, so Slessor has to dig in hard and dig in deep to potentially find himself one more opportunity here. As a reminder, he needs 3 of them at least, so still I would say it's a little bit of a time wasting from Slessor, because in my view you'll never get 3 snookers, as surely it's a concession here once again, as he has an absolute blinder there. And it is 2 frames to 0 from Neil Robertson. And this time around, as I just try to sort the scoreboard out here. Yeah, so Neil Robertson does get the second frame on the board for him. In a frame that was a little bit less scrappy than the first one, Robertson was able to have a decent break of 46. And in the end, he was just able to pick up the scraps there, not allowing Slessor really anywhere near him in the second frame there. Slessor had some of the chances that he didn't use, and in the end he had a couple of chances to lay a snooker on Robertson, and Robertson found a way out of each of those ones. So it is Robertson leading by 2 frames to 0 here. As we can have a look at the stats here for Robertson. So the highest break, so for either player, I have to say for Slessor especially, he is known for being the player that wants to be on the front foot. He can play the safety aspect of the game, but for him having the highest break of 17 in the opening 2 frames, this is nowhere near good enough. And he'll have to improve that side of his game. As we can still see here, the mid-frame interval. But for Robertson, I think he will be enjoying himself winning the frames that he's not playing particularly well in, as any player will be looking at. Of course, he is a favourite by a mile now. It's only 1.11 odds for Robertson and skyrocket 5.5 for Slessor to win this match. Best of 11 reminder in the first semi-final here, as we're waiting for the players to come back from their seats and get the third frame on the way, which hopefully will produce us finally a sort of a 50 plus break and potentially a century break, or sort of, you know, if one of the players can win the frame in one visit, it'd be encouraging signs. But of course it will be a lot better than what we have seen so far with sort of each player. Both of them of course have had good positions, and both of them have sort of been unable to do anything with those positions so far. As we're ready now to get the third frame on the way, it will be Neil Robertson breaking this time around. Elliot Slessor, remember, in the frame number 2 had a little bit of a shaky break-off. A break-off that allowed Robertson to have an attempt for a long pot, and that set the pace up of the second frame, because a couple of misses made the players be a little bit more conservative and just going for the safety rather than attempting the long pots. But this time it's a brilliant breakaway shots from Robertson, and Slessor now has to find an answer to it as the cue ball is tied back onto the cushion. I think he'll try and leave the cue ball onto the black cushion there, as I don't really see any other options for him. He can attempt a long pot, but I don't think with the form that he's found he will be doing that. But he certainly has. I think he knew that he was going to get away with it unless the ball has stayed in the jaws of the pocket. So a little bit of a free attempt there for Slessor. Didn't get too close, but wasn't too far out. So now Robertson has a long shot attempt into the yellow pocket. Has got an angle to bring the cue ball back into the sort of black cushion area. As we can have another look here. Thinks against it though, so you'll be another safety. And Robertson certainly not afraid to be playing the safety battle here with Slessor. And so far, he has won the majority of those battles, and Slessor has given him way too many chances, and Robertson, while still missing some of them, has been able to put the opening frames behind him on the scoreboard, as this time it is Slessor that attempts a cut into the middle pocket, a cut that I think Robertson should have never given him. And in the end, it works out beautifully there for Slessor. And are we finally going to see a decent break from one of the players, as Slessor now has to play a cannon off the black, a pretty major one. Play that one with a lot of power. Is he going to end up on anything? Yes, he will. And he's got a brilliant position here and a brilliant chance to get himself a frame on the board here. Early days here at frame number 3, but the position here and the 2 shots he's played there have certainly put him in a decent position. So as long as he can navigate between the expensive colours, as we have another look here for a brilliant clearance split up that he had, played that with a lot of power. We knew of course that he was if he was going to end up on the bulk area, There were a couple of reds for him to play. And now another split there. And at least 5, 6, 7 reds here in open play. Black is available. Pink goes to some of the pockets, not all of them, and of course blue is still very much up for grabs here. So Slessor should be looking to make this his highest break of the match so far, which isn't going to be hard, it being 17 points. Slessor already on 16 here. The black to make it 23, and yeah, he's got at least 3-4 reds that he can land on really easily and straightforward. He's got one more red tied onto the cushion, so he decides to get that one out of the way now, as he now indeed has the highest break of the match so far, does Elliot Slessor. So we're finally potentially going to see a little bit of break building here, something that we love snooker for. We love it for its tactical game, but also just for having a little bit of rhythm, a little bit of momentum, and fast-paced, especially in the semi-final of a tournament like this. But for Slessor, it will be really important to not allow Robertson to be 3 frames to nil ahead. As you can see, he was a little bit nervous watching that black drop into the pocket. 31 points scored. And he's still on the red here, as you can see there. So he caught the front jaw of the pocket slightly, was playing it with little power, so in the end no damage done. Slessor here, 32 points scored, probably needs to double that, and he will be in with a shout of winning this frame in one visit. 39 here. Yeah, I say the 2 shots that he opened up the break with, obviously a really good pot into the middle, and then the brilliant split from the black, have really made his job ever since pretty straightforward. And as long as he doesn't keep making those mistakes, which he has so far in the opening 2 frames, it should be a breeze for him as a professional. As he now has 47 points on the board, lands on the red once more, and he's just going to be picking those ones piece by piece, one by one. Yep, really nice once again from Slessor. No messing around, 48 on the board now, so looking to make it a first 50 plus break in this match for both players. Of course, he has already beaten the highest break from Neil Robertson, that being 46 in frame number 2. And now can he make a little statement that from this position normally would be saying that if a man is in form and he's playing well, you would expect him to make sort of a frame winning break for sure, and potentially a century break. He's still got a lot more open reds here, as he probably going to try and go from the top spin on the black cushion, yep, to land on the red. Needs to miss it though, and he has. And has he got himself into trouble there? I have to say that is unlucky from him, because he's done everything right there, and I can't really blame it on any sort of unprofessional. He can't see that ball by an absolute millimetre there, millimetre margin. And the problem with playing from that top cushion there, he barely missed that ball. But the only thing you could say, he probably should have played it with a little less power, a little less force there. But still, really unlucky to end up where he did. So he's still trying to, because, you know, if he puts a little bit more of right spin on it and try and just drop the ball in, which he does, so gets away with it in the end. As I say, it would have been a little bit harsh on him. So he's done everything right there, so he just drops it, sacrifices a little bit of the distance between the cue ball and the black. And now with 83 points on the table, looking to make this now 63 points break, and just a couple of more points needing for him to get this frame on his scoreboard and make sure that it won't be a whitewash when we head into the mid-session interval. Is already important, of course. That leaves him with a chance of potentially having a 2-all draw, which I think he'll absolutely snap your hand off. You know, if you asked him that before the start of the string, he would have said yes please And even before the match, I don't think that would have been the worst case scenario for him. He still has a couple of more shots here to do, as he has a little red to the middle. Has that one pretty straight, and I think that'll be a little bit of a roll through onto the pink. Done that well, so he decided not to go for the pink, he decided to go for the blue. In the end, doing everything right there. And he has got a couple of reds in the bulk area, so should still be pretty comfortable here. Looking to make it a 69-point gap. And the next red should be a frame ball chance for Elliot Slessor. As you can see, 75 remaining on the table. When that red disappears into the pocket, will be 67 available with 70 points advantage for Slessor. So there we go. I'd say pretty impressive stuff there from Slessor, because he didn't have to do anything amazing, but he managed to eliminate all those unforced errors that he had in the opening 2 frames. And in the end, having a decent break of 75 and counting, you know, you could still end up with a decent century break here. Could be important and potentially could be the turning point in the match, which Robertson, of course, hasn't been able to find a break of the kind that Slessor has been in this frame. Of course, Robertson, best break of Robertson being 46. Slessor is now aiming to double that, as he's already got 84 points break here. A couple of more shots for the century, as you can see. So 12 red spotted, twice he had to use the blue, once he had to use the pink, and 8 times he had to use the black. So potentially, of course, that includes putting all the reds with the black. He could finish here with a 1-4-3, 1-4-2. So 142 break potentially, as he keeps playing the black 4 now. And let's see if he will be able to get a solid century break here. Of course, it needs a black and a red, and he misses the black here. So in the end, not a century, but a 92 break. And it was good enough to win the frame in one visit, of course, and something that Robertson hasn't been able to do. So is that going to be a little bit of a shift in momentum here, as we're going to head in frame number 4 here. And after another mid-frame break here, we are ready to get the fourth frame underway after finally a good break there from Elliot Slessor. In the end means that he now trails by 2 frames to 1 to Neil Robertson. Robertson still very much in the driver's seat, but Slessor let him know that he's still in the semi-final and he will not be making this job for Robertson any easier than he already has been. So let's see, as Elliot has a good break off here, and it's Neil's turn now to try and potentially have a good long pot of his own, which he finds in brilliant style. As I say, the cue ball was on the cushion there, but no problem there for Neil Robertson as he finds a beautiful long pot. Have a look at this. And he's perfect on 2 of the 3 ball colours as well. So can we finally see this match find some pace here at last, as Robertson gets a nice little screw back off the yellow onto the reds. And now he's going to be in and around the black spot. The pink is covered up, as it has been throughout the majority of this match so far. But the black is very much available, the blue is available, and all of the ball colours are available. The reds are all bunched up, and there's only a couple that Robertson can play in the couple of next shots. But should be still more than good enough for him to get some points on the board. Of course, he's still looking to try and respond to a really good break of Elliot Slessor of 92 in the last frame. And potentially could respond with a frame ring break in one visit here, as he goes for an aggressive approach there. Smashes the cue ball into the reds, opens them up really nicely. Has got a little bit of a tougher angle onto the black, so I think he's played that one with a little bit just too much power. But like if you've played snooker before, you know that it's, even for a professional, it's pretty much impossible to judge where the cue ball is going to finish. But Robertson recovers really well from that, and all of a sudden it is him with a really good chance here at the 4th frame to get a 3-1 lead. I'd say the 3-1 lead will be the most deserved scoreline here. Slessor hasn't done enough so far to have a 2-all draw, and Robertson hasn't made enough mistakes to be drawing with Slessor yet. Of course, that could still change in the frame number 4, but so far, as Robertson sees the plant that is looking perfectly into the corner, so could be a little bit of a wild card for him and a get out of jail card if he needs it. And all of a sudden, you know, if he was to run out of position, he could use that plant to his advantage. As here you see, he would have liked a little bit more angle on the ping. I don't think he's got any angle at all, so I'm pretty sure he's going to try and stun it and play one of the reds into the right corner pocket, which is something that Robertson has indeed done. So 26 here for him scored. He's got that plant. Maybe you'll try and do that now. Maybe you'll try and put the red into the right corner pocket. Seems to be looking at the plant here, just double checking that that one goes. And then yeah, so doing the right thing for me, leaving that one just in case he has any issues in the next couple of shots. For now though, dispatches the red nicely and he's on to the pink. Little screw back, and then he can try and use the plant to his advantage, yeah. So doing everything right there in my view, Robertson. Of course, if he plays this plant really well, he'll have the first ball, that contact ball that he's going to hit, remain where the second ball will be, and then he'll have another ball to hit in a couple of shots time, which is exactly what he's done. Doing everything right so far, Neil Robertson. And a really important thing that I would say, ever since he had that, you know, a lot of force split from the black onto the reds, he hasn't had to do a single shot ever since, because he was just able to find those reds here and there to make sure he's still in with a good chance of, you know, keeping the break going, but not having to risk anything or, you know, running out of position or anything like that, which we already seen him do quite a few times this match. Not in this frame though, as he's been able to do everything correctly. Once again, getting those points on the board, and the next shot will be for his highest break of the frame so far, which of course will be 47, the last one being 46, and he's done exactly that. decides to go for one more red onto the right hand side. I'm not sure if he has decided that, or has he just underhit the cue ball a little bit, because oh no, actually there was one more ball for him to be playing below the park, so yeah, and that one is nicely in as well, so 48 points. And the next one, the next black, will be for a 50 plus break, so we will have two of those in each of the last two frames, which of course is really refreshing to see, especially if you look at the first two frames. They can absolutely age, especially the first one, with the majority of it being the safety play. You do want to see it here and there, but you also want to mix it up with some real good play, especially on the break building, and you know, to see snooker players doing a little bit of magic on the snooker table, as 55 points is the current scoreboard for Robertson in this frame. He has got a good red into the middle, and then probably will have to trigger the bunch from the blue, as the red is nicely in, and he's onto the pink here, so he decides to split them up from the pink, the safest option, and of course that will give him a 62 point gap with 75 on the table, so you'll just need a pink, a red and one more color, and this frame should be very much done and dusted for Neil Robertson, as he has a look from all the angles to make sure he's calculated every single risk he could possibly face from having this split, and did it absolutely perfectly, as all four reds now are in brilliant positions. And that is surely frame one in a couple of shots time, as he needs one more red and a pink or the black here. I think he will be the black that he'll be playing for, as he just rolls onto it, and it's a frame ball here for Neil Robertson to wrap up the really confident frame of his, not giving Slessor any sort of chances, as I think the safety or the breakover, I can't quite remember what that played from Slessor, was really good, landing the ball right on the cushion. But Robertson, clinical pot, a really good long pot, and in the end hasn't blinked ever since, and he has won this frame, and he's won it in style as well, in one visit. 78 points ahead, 59 on the board. Slessor is not coming back in this particular frame, and Robertson will be looking to have a century on the board here, the first of this match. I thought we were going to see one in the previous frame where Slessor had his chance. He didn't, as he missed one of the reds. And this time it is Neil Robertson with his chance of a century break. He's got 4 more shots to play here to have a potential century break. A red, a colour, a red and a colour once again. So 87 points scored for Neil Robertson here, looking to make that, well, either 93, 94. Depends on which colour he goes for. He goes for the pink, so 93 if he pots it. And then he'll just need 2 more shots for a century break here. Elliot Slessor Watchalong. Not a lot he could have done in this frame. I mean, I think that was just a moment of brilliance from Neil Robertson, as he was a little bit too quick to get up there. I think he fouled him. I'm not sure, as he has a little laugh there with the referee. I'm not sure what was the foul about, but yeah, he does get a 93 break there, but not a century. So both players have had their chance of a century break, but both have failed. Have now got 93 and a 92 highest breaks respectively. But most importantly, it is Neil Robertson with a 3-1 lead here, as we head into the 15 minutes mid-session interval, and Robertson is very much in the driver's seat and very much in the dominant force so far. Slessor was able to find one of the decent breaks, but it has been Robertson apart from that, as he was the player that had less errors and more confidence in his style of play. Right then, we'll be back in a couple of minutes time, in 15 minutes time I should say, when the players get back to the table. For now though, it is Neil Robertson 3, Elliot Slessor 1 in his first semi-final here at Saudi Arabia Masters. Right then, so we are back. And we've got the players back finally. It has been a long 15 minutes interval, but we are now ready to get the frame number 5 underway here in Jeddah. Saudi Arabian Masters semi-final. Neil Robertson is leading 3-1 against Elliot Slessor. Both players have had finally some good breaks in the last 2 frames, with Slessor having the break of 92 and then Robertson responding with a 93 of his. Both were in with a chance of the century, but both couldn't put a penultimate ball for that. Once again here, Robertson leaves an opportunity for Slessor off the break-off, and Slessor wonderfully takes it. Have a look at this for a pot. I mean, it's really similar to me to what Robertson has did in the frame before that, in the frame number 4. So really good job there from Slessor. He lands on ball colours really well, so he has an option of yellow or green here. Decides to go for the green. And yeah, so the position is really at his disposal here, as he pots the green as well. Should get the score up on the way. So done everything well there. Slessor now in and around the black spot. That's been the favourite spot of the players throughout this match, and I'd say pretty much the only one that around which they were able to get any points on the board, which is of course the favourite of all the players. Now Slessor has a little bit of a tougher cut here, as he will be going probably for the blue. And yeah, the ball just drops the red. He's on the right angle of the blue only just though. So you'll probably have to force this one if he wants to land on the red just above the black. But early promising signs here, as we're in for hopefully a really good end to this match. It was a little bit of a slow burner, but now it seems like both players are ready to take their game to the next level, which is what we want to see, which is what I want to see, which is what we all want to see. Elliot Slessor now on the break of 19 and on the black here. I think he will still go for the red. Maybe he will try to go for a little cluster cannon here. Yeah, he did. Did that work out for him? I don't think it did. He has got a tough cut into the middle pocket. Not too sure if that's gonna work out for him. Yeah, don't think he landed on anything there. So let's see. He's looking to, if you can see, onto the left middle. He has to bridge over the reds, which makes it a little bit more awkward here, but it would be a really important pot if he does get it in. But doesn't want to miss it though, as it will be a really good chance for Robertson. Straight in the heart of the pocket it goes, and then Slessor, as well as that, he was putting the cue ball back into the ball carrier just to make sure, you know, just to make sure if he was to miss it, it wasn't as straightforward for Robertson. Now though has a yellow, and hopefully he'll be back on the lower side of the table, in and around the pink and black spots once more, as pink is now been put into play. But where's this cue ball going? It's going probably perfectly there. Really good land in the end from Slessor. He didn't look to be concerned there, so it looked like he was controlling it. A little bit awkward here for this red. Makes it count, but now as a really tough black, and I think it's going to be a blue here into the green pocket. It's not a given by any, you know, stretch of imagination there, but he can't be doing, yeah, he can't be going for the black there because he will have to bridge over the red. And he misses the blue, so what looked like it was a really good chance for him to get a break that potentially could lead to him winning the frame in one visit. In the end, it turns into a break of 30, and a really good chance now given to his opponent. The blue is out of his spot. The pink is only potable. Yeah, it can be potted in 3 of the 4 pockets. And now Robertson is looking to make that 4 out of 4 here. He obviously understands that the blue not being on his spot is a little bit of an issue. So it's now a chance for Robertson to shine. The first ball is in, and it's now break for Neil Robertson here, as the position has been very much improved by Elliot Slessor, but the problem for him is it has been improved now for his opponent. Neil Robertson, the man on the charge, looking to make it 4-1 lead. He does trail by 29 points here, but of course with every single red, well, not going to say into play because some of them are still bunched up together, but still it was a really good chance for Robertson. I say was because he nearly messed it up. I mean, he's gone for a really aggressive sort of split cluster, I'm not too sure what you want to call it, and ended up getting on the red, but only just though. I mean, it was really close to just ending up with nothing, and it would have been an end of break, but can't judge the winner there, and he's very much alive in this break. Has 9 points to his name now, looking to make that 16 off the black. And then with, well, now all 7 reds I should say, being into the play, it should be a breeze for Robertson. It's a really cheap chance, I have to say, from Elliot Slessor, and if he does want to be a contender for this final spot, he has to be playing better than that. It was really weird for me, the way he set up the situation for himself. It was really weird because he got lucky eventually in the first place with landing on the red ball after, having a tough yellow to pot. And then he just rolled onto it, and without, sort of realizing that he was going to be caught in between the black and the blue, in the end, couldn't go for the black because it was an incredible tough cut and he had to breach over the red, which made him, the chances of missing that particular pot even higher. So he had to go for the blue. He missed it, and all of a sudden he's now Neil Robertson, very much in prime position for this frame, as he's got 6 reds to go. He's only 6 points behind, looking to make that 5 each. 5 points behind and 5 reds into the play. Does well with the rest there. Doesn't want to be straight on this black. Yeah, I think he's got a little bit of an angle just to screw back for the red just above the black. Hasn't got too much angle there, so yeah, he had to be playing for the middle pocket. I thought he had more than that, to be fair, but should be alright because he's got a choice to either middle pocket. I think that the right one is going to be a little bit easier because he can just roll onto the pink, and then all of a sudden he'll be in prime spot for the remainder. Yeah, I don't think you'll need all of those reds, probably, or, all of them but one of them. So let's have a look. If he gets 24, yeah, you'll need all of the reds probably here, but then all of them are in a really nice position, so shouldn't take him too much effort to be running away with his frame now. Wow, I say that, and he just missed a pink that I would have never thought he would miss in his life, and that is a massive let-off for Elliot Slessor. You can see with his face expression, he would have not seen himself missing that pink. Have a look at this. I mean, he doesn't have to do anything with the cue ball except holding it back a little bit. Yeah, that is a disaster. That is a sinker from Robertson. We've seen some bad misses in this match, and this might just take the prize. And have a look at this reaction from Robertson. This could be an expensive thing. But while we were watching the replay, Elliot Slessor, well, it looks like he already managed to miss one of his own. Yeah, what looked like both players were getting themselves back in the rhythm for this match, and now all of a sudden their exchanges with misses. We're still yet to see what happened to that Slessor shot, but because we were watching the replay of the reaction from Robertson, and all of a sudden he's now Robertson back to the table. He's got a pretty difficult cut into the right middle pocket. I say pretty difficult. He just hasn't got a lot of pocket to aim at, and in the end does it really well. So yeah, I still want to see what happened to that Slessor shot, but whatever it was, he clearly left Robertson with something he shouldn't have left him with. It had to be an attempt of a pot, 100%, because there's no way Slessor was leaving that shot on purpose for Robertson. I'm just a little bit surprised they haven't shown the replay yet. As now Robertson is looking to be on the blue now, put the blue back on his spot. Not the easiest shots of all time, but straight in the heart of the pocket it goes. A little bit shy on the pace there from the cue ball, and Robertson leaves himself with a hard shot selection. Let's see if he can make his cut. No, he can't. I did say he left himself with a difficult shot there, and once again it's the end of a break. And you know, when I said the players were getting in the rhythm, never mind they're not. Clearly not, because in the last sort of 6-7 shots they had 3 mistakes between the two of them. And now Slessor has to, hopefully for himself and for the sake of this match going the distance potentially, get himself with a chance here. So he's looking into this middle pocket shot. I don't think he'll be leaving anything for Robertson, but where is he going to find the colour as the pink is not in his spot? A tough shot this is, and a really important shot. And you could see Robertson there, cheeky guy he is, the Australian. Before the red ball even struck that cushion, he was ready to be up. Oh my God, he was really keen to be up there. I am 100% convinced Robertson was up there off his chair before the red ball hit the cushion there. But nevertheless, it is Robertson with a chance here, and Slessor had 2 chances, missed both of them, and it's now Robertson with his 3rd chance in this frame to finally put this frame to bed. Better blue ball here as he's onto the red here. So just a couple of more shots. I think if he eliminates those 2 reds, that should be enough. And then the yellow would be a perfect killer for this frame, and a 4-1 lead here for Robertson, potentially on his way. Yeah, Slessor has to be looking at the scoreboard, has to be looking at the sky nervously, because even though the thing that I will say about Slessor is he hasn't had as many clear-cut chances for Robertson as Robertson did. But on the other hand, the chances that he's had, he should have made more of them. Like the fact that he's won 1 frame out of 5 of them. Well, it looks like 5 of them. If Robertson can get this red and a colour in, that will be 1 out of 5. The red's in, brilliantly done from Robertson, and he just needs the black here, and Slessor will need snookers, as Robertson just double check that, confirm. I think he's got the angle to get back on the yellow, or at least near it, but decides against it, so just rolls the black into the pocket, and now Slessor needs a snooker to be with a chance of claiming this 5th frame. But Robertson eliminates all those hopes as he finds a beautiful pot off the yellow, off the cushion. That'll be a little bit of a confidence booster, as will be the 4-1 lead here for Neil Robertson. He'd done everything he had to, well, not really, but he's been able to pounce on the mistakes from Slessor. And in this frame, he's just been able to done enough. He hasn't done everything he could have, because he certainly could have had this frame wrapped up earlier I should say. But he's done his job, and all of a sudden he finds himself with a 4-1 lead here, and within 2 frames of the final spot here in Saudi Arabia. So yeah, Robertson here with a double for the pink, which he misses, and that the break of 34 will be the end of this frame number 5. Robertson once again claims another frame here, and it is Neil Robertson 4, Elliot Slessor 1. Yeah, once again, I have to say, I very much said, 91% of you have said that Robertson will win this match. 9 have gone for Slessor. 168 people said that. Thank you, by the way, to every single one of you who's watching and voting. Appreciate that. Before this match, I knew it was going to be controversial. I would have gone for Slessor, simply because from what I've seen of him against Higgins, against Bingham, against Higgins, Williams and Bingham, I thought he would be in with a chance of at least forcing a decider. At least. The fact that he's, looking at a 5-1, advantage for Robertson potentially on the next frame it could be a disaster for him, and he could this semi-final could finish a lot earlier than many have predicted, including me. I would have expected him to be a lot stronger, a lot more consistent, and put a lot more pressure on Robertson. So far, he hasn't been able to do any of that, and Robertson finds himself within the touching distance, really, of the final spot. As the last moments of the break now, and we'll be back with you in just a couple of moments' time. Right, after another short mid-frame break, we are now back, and it is Elliot Slessor, who's going to be very keen to get this 6th frame underway, as he potentially is looking to try and, reduce the deficit at the moment. It's been a much better second half of the match so far. After the first scrappy frame from Robertson, I say frame number 2, 3, 4 have been really good. That frame number 5 was still a bit scrappy with him making a couple of errors. But in the end, because Slessor was unable to punish him for those errors, he still won that frame, and he's now looking at the long pot. Here there's Neil Robertson, and all of a sudden it is the Australian finding his groove, gets to the long pot really well there, beautifully struck, has got a tough angle on the black, and the cue ball will be going right into the butch of the reds. So, unlucky there, he just misses it by a millimetre or two, and all of a sudden this brilliant position that has been made by Robertson as brilliant after this cluster into the reds, cannon into the reds I should say, goes to Elliot Slessor. So break ends on 1 for Robertson and break starts on 1 for Slessor. As a black in the jaws of the pocket, on all of a sudden he has a position to himself now, what I think is a last chance for him. If he loses this frame, it's a stroll through for Robertson. And I have to say, the shot that he just played there off the black makes me feel like it will be a 6-1 scoreline to Robertson, because he wasn't even trying to get on any of the reds there. Like, I know the black was in the jaws of the pocket and it's hard to control it, but it was impossible to control where the cue ball was going after hitting him with that power. So I think he is a bit checked out. We all know that he's got a little bit of a temper to him, but you shouldn't really be doing that at the semi-final of one of the most prestigious tournaments in terms of money. And he's going to go for the long pot here, but fair play to him. He has managed to recover it, and fair play. Keep this up, I'm all for it. As I say, I haven't really got a horse in this match, so I just want this match to continue as long as possible. And there's many good breaks and there's many good shots to be seen. That was one of them. Brilliant for Slessor there. Finds a really good response from a long pot into the yellow pocket, and all of a sudden, once again, he's very much in this frame. Leads by 12 points and is now on the black to make it 19. Will have to do a little adjustments to the position here, as he hasn't got too many reds to play for. Only one red being on the cushion, and the rest of them are just bunched up really closely together there. Has found a nice one here though. 20 points plays one here, and he will be looking to make it 21 with a nice little straightforward red into the middle. I think he'll be holding for the pink there. Not too sure actually where the pink will go. That's probably why he decided to go for the black, just to make, if he is gonna try and little cannon, just to make sure that the pink is not in the way there. So, and he's gone for this cannon, and where's that red ball going? As he pots the black, I don't think he's on the red here. So it could be an issue here for Elliot Slessor. This time I think he's done everything right there. There was nothing really he could have played for in terms of reds, and yeah, just a little bit unlucky. I think he hit that one on the head really well. Enough power, definitely. So just a little bit unlucky there, and now has to find probably a good safety here. I don't think he'll be going for an absolute outrageous shot to try and potentially, you know, write the headlines, because he can't really afford any mistakes here, and the position is now really good for either player. Of course, when you are on the red, as he's having a look here, I think he'll just have to play the cue ball onto the black cushion and get one of the reds onto the cushion. Yeah, makes sense. Right shot, had to make sure he covered that red within the really close to the right middle pocket. He has done so, and it's now the end of break for Elliot Slessor. So he has got himself 28 points on the board. Could be important if this frame becomes scrappy, but if it becomes fast forward and flowing, I think it will be. I think it will not be enough for Elliot Slessor there. But we'll see. We'll see what happens. For now, Robertson has to face not an easy shot here, because the cue ball is tied up onto the cushion. He can't really use any backspin because of that, and then he can't really send the cue ball to the bulk area unless he has to leave it on the right cushion to make sure he doesn't leave a cut into the middle for Elliot Slessor, which is I think what he's trying to do here. Or is he going for a pot? He actually went for the pot here, and he's not only went for the pot, he's gone and done it. Wow, what a shot that is. And when you thought he was under a bit of pressure himself, what a shot to come up with from Neil Robertson. Brilliant stuff there. What a shot that was, brilliant. I mean, let's see if he can make it count, but Slessor will be kicking himself there, as he hasn't done an awful lot wrong there in this particular frame. But Robertson seems to be finding his momentum and groove here, and you never know, could we be seeing the last of Elliot Slessor here? As Robertson now has a really good position to him. The two balls that are on the cushion, I'm not even sure you would need them, because that's 43 points. Yeah, probably would need them, to be fair, because with Elliot scoring 28 points already, you know, sort of having those 43 points backed up, Neil can only get himself within a comfortable advantage as he splits the cluster up. Doesn't land perfectly on one of the reds, but he's still got one to the middle. Similar one he has missed a couple of frames ago. Last frame I think it was the pink. No messing around this time. 17 points on the board, so only 11 behind. And now still has a black and 5 more reds in really good position, so could run away with it. And then I think he will only need one of those 2 reds that I tied on the left side cushion there, next to the middle pocket. Robertson taking his time now, making sure he doesn't put a foot wrong and makes all the right moves here. As the black is in, and he's going to be a shot to the middle now for Robertson. As we can see, really important there was for Robertson to get those couple of reds split up nicely, which he did. And in the end, split success, as we can see, 5 out of 6 from Robertson, only 1 out of 3 from Slessor. Another one that he's missed coming in this frame right before the brilliant pot of Robertson. Which so far, in a match that has been tight in some areas, has been able to just come up with those magical moments. Of course, the pot to set up that 93 break, brilliant of his. Slessor had a similar one in the previous frame, but in the end, that was pretty much the only thing that Slessor has done in terms of damage to Robertson. And Robertson's now looking to make the damage very significant here, as Slessor will be on the verge of a 6-1 defeat. And Robertson will have 5 frame opportunities to put this match to bed. For now though, he has to put this frame to bed, and he seems to be doing just that. With a 37 current break, he's already 10 points clear. And Slessor, you can see in the background, just sleeping there, understanding that he's probably out of this semi-final. Head down and yeah, just waiting for his chance, which in my view is never going to come in this frame. And then he will need it to come 5 times in a row for him in the next 5, in the next 5 frames to make sure to give him any sort of chance of winning this match. But when you're up against the likes of Robertson, you have to be playing your highest and your top game, your best game, because Robertson, whilst not being at his best, is still being able to dispatch him in some fashion. But here, he's got a little bit of a stumbling block, does Neil Robertson. So 51 points on the table. The gap is 19 points in favour of Robertson. As he looks at the scoreboard once again here, it's in a little bit of a different place to the usual scoreboard placement on the the stages like Crucible, UK Championship and stuff like that. But now he's got an option, Robertson. He can either try and pot the brown. I think he's going for the brown option. Yeah, so got himself 4 points on the board. Didn't get anywhere on the red really, so wasn't really anywhere near the position on the red. So I'm not even sure he was aiming for it. But in the end, gets himself four more points on the board. Could be important come the end of the frame. You never know. Gets another 50 plus break here, with it being exactly 50 at the moment. He'll probably try to cut this red and then just put the cue ball back into the ball area. He has done that, but he's left it way too close to the jaws of the pocket, and he's basically left it hanging over the pocket. So a chance here for Slessor to be back in contention here. Robertson should have had this frame over the line. He didn't. And Slessor, with being 23 points down, went for trying to split the reds up straight away. He missed them. Didn't miss them by much. And as you can see here, the brown and green are very much close to each other, and it will probably be snooker attempt from Slessor here. Yeah, there it is. I think it should be straightforward, like if you look at the position of the two reds. But as you can see, so 22 points Slessor is behind with 43 on the table. You can't afford giving those 2 red balls away to Robertson. You can't afford to go get one away. You can't afford to give both of them away. For now, though, it is Robertson that has to deal with a potential snooker escape here. Can't really see a straightforward way out of it. You could try and do off 2 top cushions, top and bottom cushion. But Robertson decides to go for an easier opportunity, and there you go, brilliantly done there from Robertson, no messing around. Does everything well, doesn't leave Slessor with any sort of chance, does Robertson. And he'll be a safety battle once again here. We haven't seen too many of those recently. Of course, the first 2 frames have been famous for those safety battles. But the frames from sort of 4, 5s, and this one so far, up to date, haven't really seen too much of the safety battles yet. But now we're about to see one. As we can see confirmation that Robertson is ahead by 22 points. 43 is still on the table. And all the colours, apart from the brown, being on their spots. And brown is still very much in play here, so neither would want to be giving any of those. Well, one of the reds up potentially, but definitely not 2 of them up, because that will probably be a frame to their opponent, whether you are Slessor or Robertson. There's still more than enough points here to get the job done. There's the exchange, good safeties here, but Slessor is the one trying to put some more pressure on Robertson. As he got the snooker with it, I'm pretty sure Robertson will be able to see the edge of the red ball there. But the cue ball is tied up to the cushion, so good shot there from Slessor. And let's see what reaction is Robertson going to show us here. Not quite as good as Slessor's shot, because now He did put the pink a little bit more to the cushion, but at this moment in time, I think the more important thing is he has given Slessor a chance here to have a shot at this red, whilst not really risking anything. So missed it by a mile, to be fair. But the green ball has come to his rescue in the fashion that he has blocked the potting angle for the red. In fact, he can't see at all this new Robertson. So you'll have to produce a safety off another one. But yeah, Robertson's mistake there was he went for the shot which was always going to leave the red in the place of the pink. So basically on the pink spot. But he hasn't done enough there with the cue ball, and that just allows Slessor to have a free attempt of a cut and returning the cue ball back into the bulk area. He's done well though, Slessor to... Well, he hasn't done well. He got lucky there with the blue covering the angle, the potting angle there. As this time Robertson comes up with a inventive safety shot. Not really doing anything extraordinary, but doing the damage here as he sort of cuts off the top area of the table entirely for Slessor, because there's now a ball hanging over the middle pocket. If you're on that side of the table, obviously you can't pot it from the bottom side of it, which is where Slessor is at right now. So I'd say a really clever shot there from Robertson. As now Slessor has no other option but trying to eliminate that ball and just put it into somewhere else and put the cue ball onto the bulk lines. He's done well there, a little bit risky with the red being so close to the pockets, and of course if he rattles in the jaws, we've already seen that from Slessor, that he tends to give those points away to Robertson and give those chances to Robertson where you can't really see that happening one shot before that. But right now it is Robertson still very much with a 22 point gap. Once again trying to force the reds, at least one of them, onto the cushion to make sure that if Slessor was to get a chance at one of them, he won't be able to put two in succession. Slessor responds though with an attempt to put the cue ball behind the green. Fails in that regard, and that will be... Still though, I have to say the angle for Robertson is not entirely the best one, as if he goes for the red that is on the right hand side of the screen, he'll have to hit it with a lot of left hand side to avoid the double kiss on that, which he wouldn't like to see there. And I think that's exactly what he's going to do. Yeah, so he caught the pink there, and I think that wasn't meant to happen, because have a look at this now. He's given Slessor away into this frame, and he's probably given the Slessor this frame. If you have a look what the balls are, this could be a really costly mistake from Robertson, as he hasn't got any sort of cover to save himself. Slessor pots the red ball that was basically hanging over the middle pocket, the corner pocket I should say. Hasn't done himself too much of a favour there, Slessor, because he sort of ended up really straight on the pink that is over the pocket, so you can't really get on the red into the middle. A little bit harder of a black, that one, but he puts it well. And all of a sudden now it is Elliot Slessor with a chance to be right back in this match. 4-2 is very different to 5-1, let me tell you that. And Slessor is 8 pots away from doing just that. Went for the green after the red is in. Needs a little bit of an angle on the green. I'm not sure he's got that actually. So probably will have to do a deep screw back. No, it doesn't seem to be. So he seems to be going with a roll through rather than the screw back, and he's done alright, but he hasn't done great there because he still hasn't got an easier shot on the yellow, and then of course has to make sure he's in the prime position on the green, with brown being out of his spot. So far doing everything right, and yeah, once again 4 pots away here from having an important steal here, and a frame that Robertson always looked like he was going to win. In the end, comes up short and leaves a red ball hanging over the corner pocket. Can Slessor punish him? Well, we should punish him from this position. Once again, he's going to have to go around the table to land on the blue from this brown. as he does that well. Yeah, so I say just about enough there. He is on the wrong side of the blue, but with the pink being basically hanging over the pocket of the right corner pocket, it shouldn't be too much of an issue. Just bought the blue, which you did. And now a little shot with the rest and just hang for the black. He doesn't actually need for the black. I've just realized it will just be the pink that will do the damage because he'll be 10 points ahead. So just the pink there, and the job is done. So this frame goes the way of Elliot Slessor with a 32 break in the end. Didn't do a clearance because there was no need to pot the black, and in the end does the job well when he had to. You know, 5-1, you ain't coming back from that. 4-2, you're still very much in the hunt. So let's see what the frame 7 will bring to us. For now, we're gonna go into a short mid-frame break, and we'll be back with you shortly as soon as the players come back to the table. For now though, it is Neil Robertson 4, Elliot Slessor 2. And once again, we are back, ladies and gentlemen, for the frame number 7 now, after what looked like a 5-1 lead for Neil Robertson has turned into a 4-2 here, and Elliot Slessor is still very much in this match, and he will be even more so after a bad break-off from Neil Robertson. I'm not quite sure if he's covered the red with that brown. It seems like he has, but he's still left a long pot chance for Slessor there. Let's see if he can take it. And he can't, so that's a miss from Slessor. And is he gonna give that red ball to the middle pocket away to Robertson? It seems like he has, yep. And it will be a chance once again here for Neil Robertson. So I say sloppy that from Slessor. He should have known that if he misses it, he will be given an easy shot to the middle for Robertson. So that risk should have never been taken by Slessor. In the end, he thought against it, and Robertson now is in with a chance of having an early start to this frame number 7, and hopefully for him, a successful point start as Slessor once again has to settle for a place in his chair, and just a waiting game for him now, as he needs to just sit and wait for Robertson to make a mistake once more. I don't think it took him too much time to do that because Robertson landed really awkwardly here on the blue, and now, yeah, it will be really hard for him to get any sort of cue action here on the white, as the white now is tied to the blue heavily. There is still an open red onto the left corner for Robertson, but getting onto the black will be an awful lot harder here, as he surely has to use a rest. I think if he doesn't use the rest, he has to just play a safety game here. So can he just get through to that cue ball? He seems to be having a good look at it, so the signs are he probably can. Let's see if that's going to be the case. Yeah, so he decides against it, so it's just going to roll onto the blue, roll onto the red, sorry, onto the bunch of reds. Does it well, but only 3 points scored there from Robertson. And he probably will be a safety battle once more here between the two players, as he'll probably be rolling up and down the table battle here, as the referee calls touch and ball here for Slessor. So it's a chance here to avoid that and potentially roll the white onto the bulk area to make sure we don't get stuck in here for quite a while. Because both Robertson and Slessor, I think, will be against that, because both of them like to be on the front foot, like to be attacking players. And Slessor does just that. How close to the cushion is the cue ball going to finish? It's going to finish close to it, not right on the cushion, but pretty good shot there from Slessor. He would have liked to cover that red that Robertson is lining up for a safety there, but in the end, nothing doing too much damage. And in the end, Robertson there with not a perfect shot, and is this red cuttable into the middle pocket from Slessor? We're going to find out soon. I think those are the chances that he probably has to start taking now if he's to have any sort of chance of staying in this semi-final. He went for it, he got it. How's the cue ball? Cue ball is alright. Yeah, he's alright. He got the brown on the way in. Well, I mean, on the way out, I should say, after potting the red. But the kiss was actually in favour of Slessor there. So let's see what he can turn this opportunity into, as he now has a break of 5 of his own. And he's now once again in and around the black spot. So hopefully we'll make Robertson pay for the damage that will be done here in frame number 7. He's got pretty much none of the reds left that he can play without sort of splitting the bunch up. But he has managed to get 13, potentially 21 points here on the board before he can play a little cannon or a big cannon from the black. As you can see, the camera is having a good look at his shoes, the fancy color of his shoes. And we can see here, as he lines up the angle, I don't think he's got the angle that he would have wanted, with all honesty here, unless he can sort of find a ball out of nothing there. And wow, he misses the black. I mean, he did find a ball out of nothing, but he missed the black there. Thought he went in, and that's why I put the scoreboard to 21, but he didn't. And in the end, have a look at this. Oh, he missed it by a mile. He forced so much power into it that he was actually closer to being on the way back after he hit the cushion. Robertson here with a good chance, as the position is a lot better after that split from Slessor. And all of a sudden it is Robertson here with a chance to get a 5-2 lead here after wasting a potential 5-1 lead. 5-2 lead could still be comfortable enough for Robertson. Has to do a lot to achieve that though, as there are still 10 reds into play, as 5 have been pretty much, I'd say, wasted by the 2 players already, as the Robertson is looking which ball to land on after this blue. Hopefully he's potted, as the black has gone towards the green pocket. It's not too far out, so I think if Robertson will need it, he will be able to bring it back into play. Of course, would have been a lot more convenient for Robertson to be playing all these shots in and around the black spot, but the pink and the blue should still do the damage. As he's just looking for which one to choose from. Surely he's going to be landing on the pink here. He could go for the blue, to be fair, but I think it's just a little bit of 5 or 10 more percentage of extra risk, which I don't think Robertson will be taking at this point of the match, as he tries to assess every single opportunity there that he can have. So he's got 3 reds that I can see from here that he can possibly pop. So it's obviously about the angle of getting onto the colours. So he does go for the blue here, so no risking for sticking with the pink. And the blue, of course, will put himself back ahead in the frame after Slessor was able to score only 14 points, splitting the position up, and in the end splitting the position up for Robertson. As we have a look here, Robertson ahead in this frame now by 1 point for now, but he's got 9 more reds to make this a lot more points in the nearest future. This time I think, unless he decides to screw back onto the blue, he'll just stun the cue ball onto the pink and then leave himself with some options. But saying that, what options has he got after potting the pink here? Because when he put, so that's what I'm saying, he went for the blue and he's landed the wrong angle of the blue here, so a little bit awkward that. But when you look at the reds here, even though they're all sort of, none of them are on the cushion and all of them are really in the open play, they're so close to each other, they're really interfering with each and every single one of them. And you've got 9 reds here, 8 reds I should say, and all 8 of them are compromised by each other here. So Robertson will be looking to hopefully make something happen here after this blue. But the only thing I can see is potentially landing on one of those 3 bottom ones. I think he's gone for the split here, and I reckon he's gonna... No, he's landed perfectly here, so he didn't need a split, and he's actually played that one a little bit too good, because too much power on that, and now the cue ball is really close to the cushion. So it could be a safety shot for Robertson, it could be a potential, once again, an attacking shot. But if you're going to play an attacking shot, surely you have to go for the lowest of the reds of all the bunches here. And if that one doesn't go, surely it's just a matter of which safety to play, because there's no point just rolling the red in and, you know, with an 8-point advantage and knowing that you're not going to end up on the colour there. So a position that looked to be decent wasn't turned into anything by either players. So it looks like it will be a safety shot here from Robertson. He's just looking to make it, to decide which one is it going to be. Or is he going for attempts of this shot? No, he's not. I was going to say, it didn't look like that red ball was possible. And of course, if it was possible, then I think Robertson would have gone for it, because as you can see, you were able to generate a lot of angle on that one. But for now, it is 18 points scored on that break for Robertson, and that's the end of the break. As I should end it for Slessor as well. And it's now Slessor with a chance here. And boy, does he take that chance well. Have a look at this. What a shot he's played there. Brilliant. And he's on the black. I mean, Robertson took all that time to play a really good safety. Well, something that looked like a really good safety. And in the end, it came to absolutely nothing. As Slessor here, all of a sudden, he's right back in this frame. Right back ahead in this frame. And, yeah, now has a second chance to get something out of this position. He has a sort of mid-range red here as he rolls in beautifully. Has a little bit of an angle on the black. Yeah, so at least 2, maybe 3 of those bottom reds are really easy. Well, at least should be for Slessor there. As he just rolls onto the first one. I think because the problem with those ones is 2 of them are not available right now. But every single time you remove a red before them, the next one becomes available. So you can't just be doing this one by one, accumulating points, and all of a sudden it will be Slessor charging for a 4-3. Still, still a 4-3 gap for him, but after what looked to be a 5-1 gap, I think he's certainly taken 4-3. Still has to get there though. Pots the black and finds himself a little bit short here on the second red. So has to go through it, or probably actually screw back onto the blue. Has to make sure he avoids any significant cannons. Now he actually decides to roll through it onto the black. Plays that shot really well. Frees another red up. He won't need all the reds here. Match time 2 hours. It just hit, so after first 2 frames being the slowest of the lot and taking pretty much an hour in themselves, this match has sped up massively, and now Slessor is looking to make sure this match is not going to end just yet. Average frame time 18 minutes, as you can see. Some real fast ones, some real slow ones, and in the end it's just averaging to something that you would expect in a semi-final. 18 minutes, not too long, not too short. But here, what is short is Elliot Slessor on this blue, as he recognizes that, and he sees that he put himself into a little bit of an issue here, because he only has one more red to play on, and the two are being compromised by each other. And with him being 26 points up, is he going to go for the blue or is he going to go for the pink? I'd say next semi, Abu Shuri, Ronnie O'Sullivan, Chris Wakelin, and it will be live on in a couple of hours after this one. So it will be like 6 o'clock, I think it is UK time. It will be done here as well. So I think I'm looking forward to that one, of course, because you'll have Ronnie, which is obviously the best player of all time, and then you'll have Chris Wakelin, which is the man in form recently, last season, and started this season quite well as well, beating Barry Hawkins in a brilliant match. So I'm looking forward to that one a little bit more, but I think still this one is very much worth the attention as well, as Slessor has a red ball, a middle range shot. I wouldn't say it's a long shot, middle range shot here for him. That he put in one of those before to get himself out of the problems. He can't pot this one though, and has he got the cover of the black? No, he hasn't. So Robertson is all of a sudden back in this frame here. As you can see, Slessor smiling. I don't know why he's smiling, to be honest with you, because he's left Robertson with a pretty easy opening, and the damage could easily be done here from Neil Robertson as he finds the red into the pocket. And he got the angle on the pink to try and do something with those 2 red balls here. Don't think so, to be honest with you. And he can't really generate any angle from the blue, because he ended up on the wrong side of the blue. So it looks like it'll be just 7 points from Robertson. He'll have to settle for a safety after that. He's trying to find a creative way out of this. You could potentially, like, if you are going to just settle for 7 points, you could potentially just try and snooker him behind one of the ball colours, making sure that you're dead straight behind it. Yeah, as you can see, that's what he's looking at, because there's no point just getting 6 points off the pink when you have a chance of potentially getting the chance of potting one of the reds, because it is one thing rolling up to the reds when they're on the cushion and there's no risk of giving them away. But it's a whole another story when you're rolling them and they're right in the middle of the table. Any sort of little bounce could be really damaging there, and Robertson rolls up nicely. I think he'll be happy with himself there, as he covers all the angles here from both sides. It's a clever shot that from Robertson, making sure he doesn't go for those 6 points, which at this stage of the match, at this stage of the frame, I don't think are going to mean anything, because there's still more than enough points. So with 30 points being the gap, and 43 still on the table, he's 13 points safe, and that is of course not bearing in mind that Slessor could miss one of those shots and give 4 points to Robertson and have one more attempt, and that could eventually resolve in him giving away the position for the Australian. We'll see though. He's taking his time for now. Shot time is over a minute already, and he doesn't seem to find a clear line for him to go with. Seem to settle for a one cushion escape here. It's risky though, because you have to hit it exactly where you want it, otherwise you might leave something on. So he decides to go for an absolute dead pace one. Understandable, but risky, because you risk giving a lot of points away. And even though at this stage they're not that important, it's still better not to be doing that. As we can see, 4 points goes away off Robertson. And attempt number 2 here for Slessor. We could be here for a while actually. I think until Slessor is sort of on the level terms in terms of points, I think he'll be just trying to roll onto it and giving the points away to Robertson. As you can see, the second time of asking once again. 4 points go the way of the Australian. So this is why it was a lot more clever to do that than play the pink. Because, you know, pink gives you 6 points. Those 2 attempts from Slessor have already given him, you know, 8 points. And he still has no guarantee. As have a look at this, what he's done there. He's gone for a hidden hope. And boy, did that work out nicely for Slessor there. They say he's got a little temper there. Have a look at this. He describes himself as hot-headed, but there you go. I mean, of 3 attempts that he's had, this one was certainly the best of them, and it was purest hidden hope you'll see in your life. Yeah, Robertson will be a little bit frustrated with that, as he hasn't got anything but a long pot into the yellow corner chance. Not sure whether he's going to take that one on or he's going to try to find something else. You could go for potentially leaving the cue ball on the ball cushion, but have to make sure you cover the red to the middle. And he decides to roll onto the pink here. So he uses the red as an accelerator and then has enough power just to end up right behind the pink. So it will be another snooker that Slessor has to deal with. So clever shot once again from Robertson there. Making sure that he doesn't give Slessor any sort of chances after. The thing about Robertson is I think he'll still be thinking about the last frame in a positive way. And what I mean by that is he will still be thinking like, I should have won that frame, and now I'm a frame behind of my schedule, so I need to be winning this frame at whatever costs. At all costs, I should say. Slessor has a good attempt here, catches the red, but leaves it on for a potential chance here for Robertson. So he leaves 2 of them on. Neither of them are ideal. I say the one next to the blue is a little bit easier to pot into the middle, but it will be, of course, Robertson's decision in the end. That's the one I would go for, but he hasn't gone for it to the corner pocket, because that would be a mistake in my view. He has, and he's got it. So whatever it was a mistake in my view, he's certainly gone and done it there, Neil Robertson. But the problem that I had with this one is now he has one colour and one attempt to put himself right on that red, which is still, depending on pretty much from any position where you play from, it's still going to be a tough red. So let's see, as the blue is in the pocket, does he land perfectly? He sort of lands exactly where it was a shot before, so that's why I'm not too sure that was the right decision there from Robertson. He certainly feels like it was, so let's see. Yeah, really good screw there off the rest. Yeah, ends up on the right side of the blue, and all of a sudden this could be a massive steal for Neil Robertson after having a frame stolen from him in frame number 6. Could he be the one responding to it on the next frame? Has 6 more pots to go, Robertson, to end the frame. The first one is in. And now Just the 5 of them remaining. Robertson, I think he's done everything in this frame to frustrate Slessor and in the end force him into an error, and that has played into the hands of Robertson badly, and that has played into the hands of Robertson so many times throughout this match already, and we're only on frame number 8 with potentially 11 of them on the cards. Robertson now needs the blue and the pink to get this frame over and done with, and just need one more frame out of the remaining 4 to make sure he is the first person to book his spot at the Saudi Arabian Masters final, as Elliot Slessor leaves the arena here for a break, and it is a break that he certainly needs, as Neil Robertson wins the frame number 7 and now has a 5-2 lead at his advantage, and just needs one more frame to win to become the first finalist at the Saudi Arabian Masters in 2025. It is Neil Robertson 5, Elliot Slessor 2. We'll be back as soon as the players are back on the table once more. And once again, we're back onto the table here, and could this be the last time we have got a break between the frames, as both players are coming back from their breaks here, and could this be the final frame of the first semi-final? Neil Robertson is leading by 5 frames to 2 here, and could he put this job to bed here? As once again, you can have a look at the stats here. 89% pot success for Neil Robertson, 85 for Elliot Slessor. Long pot, 7 out of 9 for Robertson, 6 out of 10 for Slessor. Safety success, 90 from Robertson, 73% from Slessor. Total points, 425 from Robertson. And as you can see, the highest breaks have been pretty equal from both players. 93 for Robertson, 92 for Slessor. Haven't had a century yet in this match. Could that be the last thing to come here, as Elliot Slessor is breaking at frame number 8 to try and potentially stay in this match after it's been Neil Robertson dominating throughout the majority of it, and Slessor now needs to find a response of his own here just to stay in this match. Frame number 8 is underway now. A really good break off, to be fair to Slessor there, as he puts the cue ball right on the right on the ball cushion. And now, all of a sudden, is a slight advantage to Slessor, as Robertson can't do the thing that you should be doing as a professional and put the cue ball onto the black cushion. So now Slessor has a chance here of a double that he took on. He missed it by quite some margin and potentially left Robertson with a slight chance there of a long shot that Robertson straight away doesn't even think about, doesn't even look at, and just goes for the safe option and leaves the cue ball on the black cushion. Yeah, so Slessor has to roll onto the reds now, because he can't afford to be going towards the ball cushion area because of the one red that is right in the middle, all of it. So can't be taking any risks now. Canadian Slessor, of course, being 5-2 down in this match. Remember, it's best of 11, so next frame that Robertson wins for the next 4 frames will be the last one. And of course, for Slessor to win this match, he needs to win the remaining 4 frames. Something that seems to be really unlikely, but we've seen stranger things have happened in snooker. And we already seen some comebacks this tournament. Of course, Ronnie Sullivan being 5-2 down to Champagne Yu in the last 16. Came back to win that match 6-5, being 5-3 down to Karen Wilson yesterday. Came back to win that match 6-5. And have a look at this. I don't think Elliot Slessor will be coming back from his chair, because this is a brilliant shot from Neil Robertson. And could this be the final visit to the table from Neil Robertson? Could he finally win a frame with just one visit? As you can see, cued this one to absolute perfection there. Have a look at this. The cue ball was on the cushion and Robertson was like, yeah, you know what, I'm 5-2 ahead, I can afford those chances. And boy, did he hit that well. A brilliant shot, and that 5 out of 6 turns into 6 out of 7 for Robertson. And 80% long pot success there. 60 for Slessor. And, well, it could be his last shot, to be fair. The Slessor, it hasn't been the worst shot he's played all match. But Robertson in with a chance here earlier on. He hasn't got too many reds in open play, but he has got a couple, and that couple could allow him to develop the rest, and you never know. A break of 70 will surely put an end to this entertaining match, I would describe it as, especially from Robertson's perspective. I think he's played well. You know, he was struggling a little bit in the opening frame, had little moments here and there in some of the frames. I think it was number 5 and 4. Of course, number 5 slipped away from him. Number 5, number 4, he was able to recover. So let's see what he's going to do here. As we have a little delay here, as the referee puts the pink below the back of the reds, and Robertson is back to the table once again. He's got one more red for sure there. I'm not sure. I think that pink being below the pack makes the other red that I was counting as the other one in the open play out of the equation. And yeah, you can see by this angle that Robertson will go hard into this pack. Needs to pot the black though. Did. As he clearly found another one, because he decided to go not to go into the pack. And there you go. So the one on the top actually does pass. You can see with the angle here, it certainly does pass. All the rest of them into the corner pocket. There you go. And now, well, you never say never, especially after the last one he's found, but it looks like this angle is going to be once again. And yep, goes the backspin here of the cue ball. Pots the blue really well, and in the end, easy on anything. The red was really close to being potted straight away off the cannon there. It didn't in the end. It stays over the pocket, but the access to it is blocked by the couple of other reds. And it does look to be like Robertson is on nothing here after having a really good split here. Got a lot of power on it. It just seems to be, yeah, ended up right in the middle of everything, and haven't got a straightforward one. He has got a tough cut onto the left side. and he's gone for it, and he's missed it, and he's given Elliot Slessor a chance here. So I suppose for Robertson you can say he can afford it, but you can't afford too many of them, because, you know, all of a sudden, if it's 5-4, and the 2 times the Slessor has won that frame were because Robertson has given him the chance to do that through a mistake like that, then it could be a very different match from that perspective. So far though, Slessor is unable to get a clean exit onto the colour, as he pots the red, which was all over the pocket, now has not the hardest blue, but has to make sure that that one is in. And it is. Catches the front jaw by slightly, but with little pace it just drops in. The red once again was all over the pocket, so that wasn't an issue. And now Slessor has a chance that he has to take, in my view, to stay in this match, because Robertson already has 26 points on the board, and one more mistake from Slessor here that leaves Robertson with an opening could very well be the end of match for him. So he has to take his chances and has to think every single time he potentially has a ball that he's not sure about. I think he has to play it safe from there, because you can't allow to give any chances to Robertson, especially from what we've seen. Some of the shots he's pulled off already in this match have been incredible. A little bit of a tough shot here for Slessor. Needs to make sure he doesn't catch the jaw, and he didn't. Brilliant shot. Stays on the black here. A couple of shots should be a little bit easier, as long as he doesn't mess up the approach to them and the positional play. Puts the black with some power. Can't generate enough angle on it though, so as I say, a couple of shots should have been easy if he didn't mess them up. But the first one of them, with him being on 21 points now, is not a gimme by any stretch of imagination there. You can see here you'll be struggling to get the cue ball under his control, as he decides to go for the bulk area. Has he found the gap there? He certainly has, so he played that one very well. And he's still on the break here, looking to at least equal for now the points tally of Robertson in this frame. But where is this cue ball going to finish? Has it finished just fine for him? And I don't think, from that face expression, don't think he has. Yep, and you can see the frustration in his face there. He is wasting no time, and he clearly wants this match to get on with as soon as possible. And Robertson might say to him, you know what, I get that, and I also want to be in the final as soon as possible. You just want the match to be over as soon as possible. I want to be in the final as soon as possible. So how about we make it a win for each of us? I win, and you get there. The end of the match as soon as possible, because here that shot should have never been played the way it was. He got down after 2 seconds of preparation. He smashed the red into the bunch of other reds, having no control of where they're going to finish. He hasn't got anywhere near enough pace on the cue ball to be sort of sure that he was safe for him to do that. And I think he's just lucky that Robertson wasn't in with a clear chance there, as this time Robertson needs to make sure he's got the cover on some of the reds. And has he? Well, Slessor will be checking that. And I have to say, with his face that I'm seeing right now, I can just see him going for this long pot with all or nothing shot, which could well be the end of the match here. And he has, and it's not going to be the end of the match just yet, because he's made it. The question is, I'll have a look at this though. To be fair to Slessor there, he certainly had some cover had he missed it, and brilliant shot, turns into 26 all. And well, really something that should be a snooker. I mean, you never know with Slessor, but it is going to be a snooker. Like, no matter if you are Mark Selby or only Sullivan, in this position you are playing a snooker. Should be straightforward for Robertson, with one of the reds being really close to the cushion, but any sort of little tiny margin of error could give an opportunity to Slessor. And in this position, I mean, surely, I know Slessor has had some bad misses and hasn't been showing his best form today, but surely even Slessor in this current form will be able to dispatch the frame should he be given a decent chance here. Let's see if that's going to be the case here, as Robertson will be taking his time. Of course, no need rushing things for him, as he's one frame and one chance, I'd say, in the current position. I'd say he's one chance away from a really good pot, from a really good win, and a spot to the and a part of the final of the Saudi Arabia Snooker Masters. But on the other side, Slessor is still not out of it. It's not 5-0, it's not 6-1, it's 5-2. And a loss of this frame would mean that he's 5-3, and all of a sudden there will be a little bit more pressure on Robertson, as he has a chat to the referee here. I'm not too sure what he's asking about.
Just ask the referee, have I touched the cue ball there?
Okay, so he just asked the confirmation that he hasn't touched the cue ball there. You're gonna have a look on the replay. So no, he hasn't. Okay, there you go. So a little bit of honesty there. Good sportsmanship from Robertson. I will say, if that was me, I wouldn't be saying it, but you know, that's the difference between me and the professionals. Yeah. So Slessor seems to be having a chat with Robertson there. So seems to be having, you know, if the technology says you haven't touched it, then you haven't touched it. Shot time is 2 minutes. As we can see on the replay here, they've gone TNT. Has he touched it? Don't think he has. He certainly hasn't moved there. I mean, whether he touched it or not, I can't really tell from that angle. Once again, as we have a look, I don't see him touching it, but I don't think it would make a massive difference. As I say, at this current situation, 4 points wouldn't give anything. As Robertson in the end decides to go for a hidden hope, something that has helped Slessor before in this match. This time it hasn't worked out for Robertson, as he clearly did. Well, I said it was going to be straightforward, and clearly it wasn't straightforward. If the player of a skill, Neil Robertson, had to go for a hidden hope, there's a shot that he usually never goes for. Slessor here with a chance that surely would be his last one. Should he miss it, as we can see here, comfortably on the black. So needs to accumulate a couple of points here and really get all the reds out of play. And then all of a sudden he should be in with a strong shout for a 5-3 gap. So he has been behind in every single frame, apart from obviously the first one where it was 0-0. But could he make it? He's going to be the one to get over the line first. Of course, when you never lead and you get over the line first, it's always a really nice feeling, but it rarely happens, especially in the professional world. As Slessor's now looking to make it 42 points on the board, as he does. 16 points clear with 59 on the table. Still a lot of work to do. As he looks into the scoreboard, seems to be checking those a lot, both of the players there. A reminder that we will be doing Ronnie Sullivan Chris Wakelin semi-final, a semi-final that I'm very much looking forward to. This match has actually been really good in the second part. The first part was quite boring, but the second part has delivered so far, and we're not even at the end of it just yet. But yeah, I'm really looking forward to O'Sullivan playing Wakelin there, so if you want to join it, it's going to be in 3 hours time from now. Feel free to do that. And now we've got Slessor on 50 points. On the break of 24, so 3 reds, 3 blacks, looking to make that 4 reds, 3 blacks. Yeah, and now just needs a couple of more shots here. This shot will put him 32 points clear, so just needs a red and a colour for Robertson to require snookers. Doing everything right for now in this frame. Of course, hasn't had too many major obstacles, but the fact that he has managed to avoid silly errors, which hasn't been the case throughout the majority of this match, has already been a good sign from him. And yeah, good stuff here from Slessor, as he has a straightforward blue to put an end to this frame. and get himself a 5-3. Still a disadvantage, but a chance, should he win the next 3 frames, to be still within shout of reaching the final here at Saudi Arabia. The blue is in, so it will be at least frame number 9 here, out of 11 possible. Reminder that it's best of 11, first to 6. Robertson only needs 1 more frame, and Slessor needs 3 more now as he puts the 3rd one on the scoreboard. And we will see now if that will make any difference come the end of the match. It will make a little bit of difference to his confidence though, and he will put a little bit more pressure on Robertson, as he had some chances. Of course, he was the first one to have a chance in this frame, and yeah, couldn't make the most out of it. Only could do 26 points out of it, to be fair. And now Slessor with a chance of a total clearance here. That will bring him up to around 70 points on the break. So still no sign of a century just as of yet. But could that still be something to come in the remaining 3 frames? Potentially 1 frame. Depends on who's going to be winning the next couple. For now though, it is Slessor looking to threaten a 97 point clearance on 71 on the break, and looking to make it 5-3 here. Still advantage Robertson, but it's a lot better than being 5-2 down, as he avoids the total clearance. He deposits the white in there. I'm not quite sure how he managed to do that. It won't really make a massive difference there, as it is a frame to Elliot Slessor, and it is Neil Robertson 5, Elliot Slessor 3 here. Once again, the players are back here for the frame number 9. Neil Robertson could have had these frames wrapped up already. He hasn't though, and you'll have, well, 2 more chances at least at his disposal. But Elliot Slessor survives the scare, and he's still very much in with a shout here, as the frame 9 is underway. And Elliot Slessor once again is really close to seeing that red onto the middle pocket. It's an absolute deja vu of one of the break-offs from Robertson. from a couple of frames away. And once again, Elliot Slessor is going to try and do, well, this time, yeah, he goes against going for the pot, realizing that he is trailing by 5 frames to 3. He can't afford any mistakes. Does the right thing there, settling for just a safety. So Neil Robertson here has to respond to that and find a potentially good safety of his own. The top part of the table will be eliminated for now for the time being, as Slessor, well, as Robertson and Slessor have that ball onto the middle pocket to deal with and a potential sort of early chance giveaway. So Robertson will be looking to either put the cue ball right on the cushion or try and put a ball colour between the red and the cue ball there. So he decides to go for the latter stage, and he decides to try and get the green between the cue ball and the red. Didn't work out that time. But now, can Elliot do something about it? Neil has been able to take his chances recently in the recent frames. Can Elliot try and do the same thing here? For now, just a safety battle and a safety exchange here, as neither of the players will be looking to give away any opportunities at this stage of the match. Of course, it's frame 9. You know, Robertson is 1 frame away from the final of one of the biggest wins, certainly money-wise, of his career. You know, he's never been to the semi-final of Saudi Masters tournaments, and he'll be looking to change that with a final appearance, and he's only 1 frame away from that. Gets a little bit lucky with that ricochet of the red ball. I mean, if it came down a couple of centimeters, it would have been an attempt for Slessor. For now, though, it is a really good shot from Robertson. So fine margins there, and Slessor now has to find the response, and has to find a good response. As we can see here, the shot that set him up really well in the last frame, that has allowed him to play a really good snooker and make sure Robertson lost that frame. Yeah, really good shot there. Probably say shot of the match so far from both players. I mean, that shot from Robertson a couple of frames ago from the cushion with a brilliant backspin control for the bulk area was brilliant. But that one was probably just about as good, as Slessor goes for rolling onto the bunch and misses it by a little bit of distance. So Robertson's turn now, and it could be really costly, that is, because I didn't realise, I thought the pink was covering that ball, but it wasn't. And all of a sudden, it is Robertson here with a chance. As he has got a break of 6 already from the blue. He's got a couple of reds here to potentially try and build a gap there of around 30-40 points before, well, let's say probably 20-30 points before he has to go into the bunch heavily there. He's got at least 2, maybe 3 reds in half open play there, and all of them played with the black would give him a 32 point advantage, 34 point advantage I should say. You will be thinking about it though, because his conversion rate from classes and success rate from that has been really high. 6 out of 7, I think we've seen the stats a couple of frames ago. You'll be looking to improve that. Not the best shot to play at that particular occasion though, off the black. Tried to cannon one of the red balls on the left hand side. Didn't really get anywhere with that. As this time, yep, deals with it nicely though, and a really good pot on the red, so still on the black. He's got the angle here for a potential breakthrough of the bunch here. As you can see, he's looking up for it, so certainly will be a target for Neil there. And brilliantly done there in terms of the black. So just skips off the bunch there. So the freeze up one of the reds that was already sort of half freeze. It was just a bit in the mix, but it was separated already. But the impact on the bunch wasn't that big. So 26 points here, and still 1 more red to potentially go for. It's not an easy though, as Robertson has to stretch. Pots it though, important pot that is. And 27 now. With the black it will be 34, so better than nothing. Of course, nowhere near enough of winning the frame. But having that is, of course, a lot better than, you know, having that against you. As you can see, he's got one more red here for potentially 8 more points. So, you know, he's finding those reds in. And he could be finding the end of the match here for himself, as long as he keeps his head cool and stays composed. Does everything right. There you go. So the black is in. 7 more points go his way. He is well within the reaching distance now with claiming this frame, as Elliot Slessor has to just wait for one more mistake, as you have to say, it will be idiotic way for Slessor to lose that match the way he did, especially, you know, he was rolling up to the bunch, he missed it by a mile, and he missed it by so much that Robertson could see a ball that he should never have ever seen in a million years, and he was able to pot it as it was basically all over the middle pocket. So it gave him a freebie here in the frame that he should have been all over off. As a 5-4 lead for Robertson all of a sudden doesn't look anywhere near as confident as it looked a couple of frames ago with 5-2. And now Robertson is 42 points clear in the last frame. Well, a frame that could turn out to be last, we don't know yet. And now has 2 more reds at least. And from this position, surely you would feel like it is his frame to lose. Has a good angle on the blue here, so he's probably going to go into the bunch heavily here. He did. How's your luck? I think it's alright. He has a concerned look though. It will be difficult for him to mount over. An easy touching ball. Can he get into this red? That's the question. 48 points he has scored for him. I think he can, because he's looking at it really, really closely there. I think he can get through to it. It's just a question of how to actually put it. Let's see. From the various angles, it does look like that red is preventing the contact. But you have to say that Robertson is way too enthusiastic, and we haven't seen too much frustration there, which would have been there if he didn't allow on that shot. As you can see, Elliot Slessor, you know, being himself, looking somewhere else, not on the snooker table, maybe looking up to the top. Sometimes they've got a little glass there, so you can see the reflection there. Robertson pots that red, and he's now onto the pink, similar pink that he has missed a couple of frames ago. We'll be looking to put that behind him, and he certainly did. Brilliant stuff. And it is looking like this frame and this match is going to be over very, very shortly, as Robertson is just a couple of pots away from one of the biggest wins of his career, certainly money-wise. I mean, we all know that you won a World Championship, but World Championship in 2010, I'm not sure you would have got as much as you would get for a final spot in Saudi Arabia in 2025. Still has to get there though, as the blue is in. He has a 61 point lead here, and could we see, running a little bit ahead of ourselves, could we see a century here finally, after some good breaks have been here in this match, but we haven't seen the 100 breaks so far. Could Robertson be in here to change that? The position's certainly up for it. I mean, the 62 point gap, looking to make that 69, and he will only need one more red, because there will be 67 points remaining after he pots it, and he will be ahead by 70. So a match ball here, and he's taken it. He's taken it. It was not the hardest one at all, but he's over the line. Neil Robertson needs the black to put any sort of snooker questions behind him. As you can see, having a little bit of an anxious look at the scoreboard, just making sure that he's covered up everything there. Yep, so the black is in, so it is 6-3 here. The match is over, but can we still see a brilliant end to it? Slessor knows it. He ain't coming back to the table. A little shake of the head there. Yeah, the way to lose it, I have to say, the way to lose it is it's one of the most stupid ways to lose it. When you're rolling up to the bunch and you misjudge the pace by that amount, that you actually leave one of the balls you should have been anywhere near showing to your opponent. So 83 here on the board. So, of course, 4 of them being the foul. So 79 on the break. And just a couple of more shots here for the century for Robertson. Looking to end the last frame on a high. As the blue is in. A red colour. And another red and a colour here for him. We'll make it a century break. For now, 86. Robertson taking his time there. You can see he's taking it seriously. Of course, remember, Robertson is really close to hitting the millennium mark. I'm pretty sure he's on 991 centuries. So he could be, I'm pretty sure, the fourth one after Higgins, Trump and Ronnie, of course, to be with 1,000 centuries. Has he got this red in? I think it's faded away from the pocket. Has it? Yes, he has. So that ball is not in, but the match is certainly over, and it is Neil Robertson taking the last frame, taking the match, and taking the final spot. The shake of the head there from Slessor. He has some words to say for Robertson, but Robertson will be the person to be telling the words to either O'Sullivan or Wakelin. We're yet to find out here at Saudi Arabia. That match will be played today in 2.5 hours' time. Please feel free to join us for that one. But for now, it is Neil Robertson winning this frame, winning this match by 6 frames to 3. And thank you very much for your attention. We will be back with you in 2.5 hours' time for Ronnie O'Sullivan against Chris Wakelin. Thank you very much once again for watching, and we'll be back with you soon.